The crawl space. When I was 15, my best friend Jason invited me over for a sleepover at his new house. His family had just moved into a restored farmhouse on the outskirts of our rural Pennsylvania town. It was old, creaky, and oozed that strange mix of charm and dread you only get with houses built before electricity. We spent the evening playing video games in the living room while his parents unpacked. The house was 3 stories tall, and his bedroom was in the attic, fully furnished, surprisingly cozy, with slanted wooden ceilings and a small crawlspace door along one wall. Around midnight, after his parents had gone to bed, Jason pulled out a flashlight and grinned. "You want to see something creepy?" he asked. He pointed to the crawlspace door. It was old, original to the house, and had one of those tiny, rusted iron handles. I'd seen enough horror movies to know this was a bad idea, but being a teenager, I couldn't say no. He pried it open. The air that came out smelled like wet dirt and decay. Inside, it was pitch black except for the narrow cone of his flashlight. The crawlspace stretched back about 8 feet before turning sharply to the right. "Watch this," he said. He reached inside and tapped on the floor with his knuckles, 3 times. Then we waited. I was about to ask what the point was when I heard it. 3 taps back. From deep within the crawlspace. "No way," I whispered. Jason turned pale. "That didn't happen last time." "What do you mean last time?" I hissed. He explained that earlier in the week, he'd done the same thing out of boredom and had heard nothing. He thought it was just an empty space. Now we were both standing there, frozen. The air suddenly felt colder. Jason shut the crawlspace door quickly, latching it tight. We didn't talk for a while. He eventually climbed into his bed, and I took the sleeping bag on the floor. Around 3 a.m., I woke up to scratching. It wasn't like a mouse or squirrel. This was slow, steady, something dragging across the inside of the crawlspace door. Then came the whisper. "I saw you." It was unmistakable. A breathy voice, barely audible. I bolted upright. Jason was still asleep. I didn't sleep again that night. The sound continued for another 30 minutes, then silence. In the morning, the crawlspace door was slightly open, and on the inside, written in what looked like chalk, were the words, "Don't knock again." Jason's family moved out 6 months later. They never said why. The girl in the basement. This happened when I was 12. I stayed the night at my friend Lily's house for her birthday. There were 4 of us girls total, and her parents let us camp out in the basement with sleeping bags, snacks, and horror movies. It was your typical sleepover until midnight. Lily's house was older, with an unfinished basement that had concrete floors, a half-functional washer-dryer, and weirdly, an old wooden door in the corner that led to a second, smaller room. Her dad used it for storage. None of us wanted to go in there. During the movie, we started hearing knocks from behind that door. At first, we assumed it was the pipes, but it was too consistent. 3 knocks, pause, then 2 more. Over and over. Lily laughed it off. "It's just the house settling." But her voice shook when she said it. Later, around 2 a.m., Lily got up to use the bathroom upstairs. The rest of us were half asleep, but I remember hearing something strange, the wooden door creaking open. I thought it was Lily messing with us, so I sat up. Someone was standing just beyond the doorway. I blinked, trying to make sense of it. It looked like a girl, but not Lily. She was taller, pale, wearing something that looked like an old nightgown. Her head was tilted slightly, her hair hanging over her face. I froze. She stepped forward silently and stared at us. Then, without a word, she turned and walked back into the room. The door shut softly behind her. I couldn't breathe. When Lily came back downstairs, I told her what I'd seen. She went white. "You saw her too?" That's when she told me her older sister used to sleep in the basement before she died of a rare illness 3 years prior. They never changed the room. That storage door, it used to be her bedroom. Lily had seen her too, a few times. Always standing in the corner, always watching. We all slept upstairs that night. Whispers in the woods. A few years back, my cousin Ryan invited a few of us to his family's cabin in the woods of North Carolina. It was late summer, and the trees were thick and buzzing with insects. His parents weren't around, just us 4 teens, with a generator, a campfire, and a stack of horror DVDs. That first night, we roasted marshmallows and talked about local legends. Ryan told us about the Whistler, a man who supposedly died in those woods decades ago. People say if you hear someone whistling at night in those woods, you should never whistle back, because he's looking for someone to answer. We laughed it off, of course, kid stuff. Around 2 a.m. we decided to crash. The cabin had one bedroom and a small living area where we laid out our sleeping bags. I woke up sometime later, no idea what time it was, but I needed to pee. I grabbed a flashlight and stepped outside. That's when I heard it. A low, slow whistle. 3 notes. It was coming from the woods behind the cabin. I froze, then instinctively turned off my flashlight. I stood there in the dark, trying to convince myself it was one of the guys messing with me. Then I heard the whistle again. Closer. I whispered, "Ryan?" No answer. I whistled back, half joking, half scared out of my mind. Silence. Then crunching leaves. Something, or someone, was moving toward me. I bolted back inside, locked the door, and shook Ryan awake. He groaned, annoyed, until we all heard it again. The whistle. This time it came from directly outside the cabin window. We didn't sleep the rest of the night. At dawn, we found boot prints around the cabin. Ryan's dad later told us that years ago, someone had gone missing in those woods. A man. He was known for whistling to himself wherever he went. They never found the body. We left that day and never went back.